Hello, I am Mansi Fadtare and today we are going to discuss the data analytics life cycle. So before going for the uh, life cycle of the analytics project, we are going to see on which the analytics projects are based on. The analytics projects are based on the big data. So big data is nothing but the is not only the volume or the big data or the amount of data, rather it is the variety of the data. Different varieties of data are there, then different data sources are there, different types of data are there. So all this comes under the big data. So data analytics projects uh, which use the big data for their project, those pro- those projects must follow the data analytic life cycle. So for the data scientist and the data analysts or data engineers, it is necessary to learn the 6 phases data analytic life cycle thoroughly. Data science projects differ from business intelligence projects, as data science projects focuses on the data and the data preparation, and business intelligence project focuses only on the decision making that make use of the data given by the data science projects, and those data is used for the decision making. So data science projects are more exploratory, and the participants of this project should be thorough and rigorous. So large projects are divided into number of small pieces, and those small projects are carried simultaneously. Data analytic projects expects that data scientists and data engineers spend more and more time to plan all the activities in the life cycle and to decide the scope of the work. Documenting the data analytics projects is very important, uh, and it adds rigor and credibility in. These projects are mostly designed for the big data problems and data science projects. There are 6 phases of this life cycle, and that the project work can occur in several phases simultaneously. So at any stage, if the information is uncovered or if information is missing, then work can return to the earlier. There are 6 phases of this data analytic life cycle, such as discovery, data preparation, data model planning, model building, communicate results, and operationalize. We'll see one by one. So at the end, data analytic life cycle defines the analytics process and the best practices from discovery to project. So the diagram shows the data analytic life cycle, and we can see that we can move in the previous phase whenever it is required. The first phase is the discovery phase, and in this phase all the data is collected, the data sources are explored. So we'll see. So in first phase, the data scientist and data engineers must have the thorough knowledge of the business domain for which business they are developing the project. So these the knowledge about that project is important. Then resources means they have to explore the data resources from where they can get the data to run this project or to develop this project. Then in this phase, the problem is framed by the data scientist and the data engineers. Then identifying the key stakeholders is done at this stage. Interviewing the analytics sponsor is done. So why? To take the requirements of the sponsor. The developing the initial hypothesis. So some initial hypothesis has to be developed at this stage, and those hypotheses are followed in the rest of the life cycle. Identifying the potential data sources. So which are the potential data sources from where we can get the accurate data, we can get authenticate data. Okay, so that is done in. So second phase is the data preparation phase. After collecting all this information, in the data preparation phase, the data is prepared for the. So it includes steps to explore, pre-process and condition the data. Here the analytics sandbox is created. It is a robust environment which gives the freedom to experiment, to do lots of experiment with the data available to data engineers, and data engineers come up with the various insights here, and those insights can be used as the guidelines for project development. So this step is most labor intensive step. Lots of work is expected at this stage, and the more than 50% of total project time must be spent on the data preparation phase. So when engineers and data scientists spend lots of time on data preparation phase, then their next work, the further work becomes. So in a data preparation phase, after performing the ET, LT, then data conditioning, then the learning the data, preparing the sandbox, all these documented surveys are presented to the peers. Okay, so or the team members. So team members can also understand how the data is gathered, how data is processed, when to use data, which data is used at which place. So that all these things are presented to the team members at the end of data preparation phase. So for presenting the data to the users, various visualization tools are used, and with the help of those visualization tools, so other team members can easily understand how to use data and how to handle that data, what kind of data we are. So after preparing data, that data is given to the model planning. In model planning phase, the number of techniques are explored to build that. Activities are carried, like assess the structure of data, which kind of data we need to work with. So which data structures we are using for our project, then which models or which techniques can go best with this type of data structures that we have selected. So all this planning is done in the model planning. Also, if the model requires single technique or multiple techniques to develop a full project, that is also planned in model planning phase. And from various alternatives, one best alternative is selected for the further. So in model building phase, the actual implementation, the model which is selected as the best model, that model is actually implemented in the phase 4. So the data sets for the training, testing and production are developed at this stage. So data gathered from the data preparation phase and the data model planning phase, that data sets are divided into training and testing. So training data set is used to build the model, and testing data set is used to test the model. So while testing the data or while testing the model, the questions need to be considered by the data scientists and data engineers, like, does the model appear valid or accurate on the test data? Does the model output or behavior make sense to domain expert? Do the parameter values make sense in the context of domain? Is the model sufficiently accurate to meet the once model is built properly? Some tools are there to build this model. Some commercial tools are SAS, then MATLAB, Alpine Minus, Statistica, Mathematica. These commercial tools can be used. Also, some open source free tools are also available, like Octave, Weka, Python, R, PLR, and SQL. So combination of these tools also used as per requirement of the project. So the model which is built at the model building phase, that model is presented to the customer. Then customer reviews are taken at this stage. So while presenting the model to the customer, the sample data set is generated, which is very similar to the real-time data, and that sample data set is applied on the constructed model. Okay, and at this stage the performance of that model is observed in front of the customers, and then customer decide whether that model is passed or failed. If that model is failed in some extent or in some expectations, then that the model or the project is revised. That project is rolled back to the previous stage wherever required, and from that stage again rework is started. If the model is passed in this phase, then the model is given in the operationalized. In operationalized phase, actual deployment of project is done. So in the deployment, the real-time data is applied on the model. Okay, so and the observation and the behavior of the model and the performance of the model is measured on the real-time data. If the model goes successful, if the model meets all the expectations, then the project development is finished at this stage. Otherwise again rollback is done at the previous stages, and rework is done, re-engineering is done, and the project made successful. So these are the data analytics life cycle in the divided into 6 phases. Okay, so once the analysts or engineers understand all these 6 phases properly, they can work with the on the project very effectively and efficiently. So thank you.